I now present my proposals on direct taxes. New Income Tax Act. In July 2024, I announced a comprehensive review of the Income Tax Act 1961. This was completed in a record time, and the Income Tax Act 2025 will come into effect from 1st April 2026. The simplified income tax rules and forms will be notified shortly, giving adequate time to taxpayers to acquaint themselves with its requirements. The forms have been redesigned such that ordinary citizens can comply without difficulty. Ease of living. I propose that any interest awarded by the Motor Accident Claims Tribunal person will be exempt from income tax, and any TDS on this account will be done away with. I propose to reduce TCS rate on the sale of overseas tour program package from the current 5% and 20% to 2% without any stipulation of amount. I propose to reduce TCS rate for pursuing education and for medical purposes under the Liberalized Remittance Scheme, popularly known as LRS, from 5% to 2%. Supply of manpower services is proposed to be specifically brought within the ambit of payment to contractors for the purpose of TDS to avoid ambiguity. Thus, TDS on these services will be at the rate of either 1% or 2% only. I propose a scheme for small taxpayers, wherein a rule-based automated process will enable obtaining a lower or nil deduction certificate instead of filing an application with the assessing officer. For the ease of taxpayer holding securities in multiple companies, I propose to enable depositories to accept Form 15G or Form 15H from the investor and provide it directly to various relevant companies. I propose to extend time available for revising returns from 31st December to up to 31st March with the payment of a nominal fee. I also propose to stagger the timeline for filing of tax returns. Individuals with ITR 1 and ITR 2 returns will continue to file till 31st July, and non-audit business cases or trusts are proposed to be allowed time till 31st August. TDS on sale of immovable property by a non-resident is proposed to be deducted and deposited through resident buyers and his or her PAN-based challan instead of requiring a TAN, which is a temporary accounting number. To address practical issues of small taxpayers like students, young professionals, tech employees, relocated NRIs, and such others, I propose to introduce a one-time 6-month foreign asset disclosure scheme for these taxpayers to disclose income or assets below a certain size. This scheme would be applicable for two categories of taxpayers, namely, A, who did not disclose their overseas income or assets, and B, who disclosed their overseas income and or paid due tax but could not declare the asset acquired. For category A, the limit of undisclosed income or asset is proposed to be up to 1 crore rupees. They need to pay 30% of fair market value of asset or 30% of undisclosed income as tax and 30% as additional income tax in lieu of penalty, and would thereby get immunity from prosecution. For category B, asset value is proposed to be up to 5 crore rupees. Here, immunity from both penalty and prosecution will be available with a payment of fee of 1 lakh rupees. Rationalizing penalty and prosecution. Multiplicity of proceedings are hindrance to the ease of doing business. I propose to integrate assessment and penalty proceedings by way of a common order for both. There will be no interest liability on the taxpayer on the penalty amount for the period of appeal before the first appellate authority, irrespective of the outcome of appeal process. Further, quantum of prepayment is being reduced from 20% to 10% and will continue to be calculated only on core tax demand. As an additional measure for reducing litigation, I propose to allow taxpayers to update their returns even after reassessment proceedings have been initiated, and an additional 10% tax rate over and above the rate applicable for the relevant year. The assessing officer will then use only this updated return in his proceedings. There is already a framework for immunity from penalty and prosecution in the cases of underreporting. I propose to apply this framework for immunity to misreporting too. However, in such a case, the taxpayer will need to pay 100% of the tax amount as an additional income tax over and above the tax and interest due. Penalties for certain technical defaults, such as failure to get accounts audited, non-furnishing of transfer pricing audit report, and default in furnishing statement for financial transactions are proposed to be converted into fee. I propose to rationalize prosecution framework under Income Tax Act while maintaining a careful balance for deterrence in some serious offence. Non-production of books of account and documents and requirement of TDS payment where payment is made in kind are being decriminalized. Further, minor offences will attract fine only. The remaining prosecutions will be graded commensurate with the quantum of offence. They will entail only simple imprisonment with maximum imprisonment reduced to 2 years and power to courts to convert even those into fines. There is no penalty. There is no penalty presently for non-disclosure of non-immovable foreign assets with aggregate value less than 20 lakh rupees. I propose to also provide them with immunity from prosecution with retrospective effect from 1/10/2024. Cooperatives. Deduction is already allowed to a primary cooperative society engaged in supplying milk, oilseeds, fruits or vegetables raised or grown by its members. I propose to extend this deduction to also include supply of cattle feed and cotton seed produced by its members. I propose to allow inter-cooperative society dividend income as deduction under the new tax regime to the extent it is further distributed to its members. I further propose to allow exemption for a period of 3 years to dividend income received by a notified national cooperative federation on their investments made in companies up to 31/1/2026. This exemption would be allowed only for dividends further distributed to its member cooperatives. Supporting IT sector as India's growth engine. India is a global leader in software development services, IT-enabled services, knowledge process outsourcing services, and contract R&D services relating to software development. These businesses and their segments are quite interconnected with each other. All these services are proposed to be clubbed under a single category of information technology services, a single category of information technology services with a common safe harbor margin applicable to all. Of 15.5%, the threshold for availing safe harbor applicable to for all. IT services is being enhanced for availing safe harbor from 300 IT services is being enhanced substantially from 300 crore rupees to 2,000 crore rupees. For IT services shall be approved by an automated rule-driven process without any need for tax automated rule-driven to examine and without any need for tax officer once applied to examine services company. The same safe harbor can be continued by an IT services company. 5 years. The same safe harbor can be continued for a period of 5 years. At a stretch, for IT services companies who want to conclude advanced pricing agreement, for IT services companies who want to conclude advanced pricing agreement process, for IT services and endeavor to conclude it within a period of 2 years. For IT services, the period of 2 years can be extended within a period of 2 years. 6 months. The period of 2 years can be extended by a further period of 6 months. To extend the facility of modified returns available to the entity facility of modified returns associated to the entity entering APA to its attracting global business and investment also. Recognizing the need to enable critical infrastructure and boost investment in data centers. Enable critical infrastructure and boost investment in data centers. I propose tax provide till 2047 to any foreign company that provides cloud services to any foreign company that provides cloud by using data center services from India globally. It will by using data center services to Indian customers through an Indian reseller provide services to Indian customers through an Indian reseller entity. I also propose to provide a safe harbor of 15% on cost in case the company providing data center services from India is a related providing data center services from India harness the efficiency of just-in-time logistics for electronic efficiency of just-in-time logistics safe harbor for electronic manufacturing for component warehousing in a bonded warehouse at a profit margin warehousing in a bonded warehouse value at a profit margin of 2% of the invoice value about 0.7%. The result will be much slower about 0.7% jurisdictions will be much slower to provide in competing jurisdictions. Toll manufacturing in India. To provide, I propose to provide exemption from income tax in India. 5 years. I propose to provide exemption from income tax for 5 years. Equipment to any non-resident who provides capital manufacturer equipment in a bonded zone. To encourage manufacturer in a bonded zone in India to encourage period of time. I propose to provide exemption to for a longer period of time. India I propose to provide exemption to global non-resident India source for a stay period of 5 years under notified schemes. For a stay period of 5 years under notified schemes. I propose to provide exemption from minimum alternate. I propose to provide exemption from minimum non-residents who pay tax on presumptive basis. To all non-residents who pay tax on presumptive basis. I propose to constitute a joint committee of Ministry of Corporate Affairs and Central Board of Direct Taxes a joint committee of Ministry of Corporate Affairs and Central Board of Direct Taxes for incorporating the requirements of income computation in the Indian accounting standards, in the ICDS, in the Indian accounting standards, separate accounting requirements based on ICDS, separate accounting requirement based on 27, ICDS will be done away with to support Prime Minister Modi's vision of homegrown to support Prime Minister Modi's vision of to become global accounting and advisory to rationalize to become the definition of accountant for the purposes of safe the definition of accountant for the purposes of other tax proposals change in taxation of buyback other tax was brought into a change in taxation of buyback was brought in to address the improper use of buyback route by promoters. Was brought in to address the improper use of buyback shareholders by promoters. I propose to, in the interest of minority shareholders, of shareholders, I propose to capital gains buyback for all types of shareholders to incentivize. However, to incentivize misuse of tax arbitrage. However, promoters will pay an additional misuse of tax arbitrage. This will make promoters will pay an additional buyback tax. Effective tax 22% for corporate promoters. This will make effective tax 22% for corporate promoters. For non-corporate promoters, for sellers of specific goods, namely TCS rate for sellers of specific goods and minerals will be rationalized to 2%, and that will be rationalized to 2%, will be reduced from 5% to 2%. Will be reduced from 5% I propose to raise the STT on futures to 0.05% on futures to 0.02%. STT on options premium and exercise of options. STT on options premium raised to and exercise of options 1.5% to be raised from the present rate of 0.15% and from the present rate of 0.1% respectively, and 0.125% the taxation landscape respectively. For corporates in 2019 landscape by providing them a simplified regime in 2019 with lower tax rate, by providing them a simplified regime on business with lower tax rather than on claim of deductions and exemptions on business rather than on claim of deductions and exemptions. To the new regime, to encourage companies to shift to the new regime, MAT credit, set off minimum brought forward tax credit is proposed to be allowed minimum to companies only in the new regime. Proposed to be allowed set to companies only in the new regime. Is proposed to be allowed set off using to an extent of 1/4 is proposed to be allowed in the new regime. To an extent of 1/4 of the tax liability in the new regime is proposed to be made final tax. MAT is proposed to be no further credit accumulation from 1st April 2026. Credit accumulation from 1st April 2026. The rate of final tax in line with is being reduced to 14% from the current MAT rate is being reduced to 14% from the current MAT rate forward of 15% of taxpayers accumulated the brought forward March 2026 will continue to be available to them March 2026 as above. Will continue to be available to indirect tax for set off as above. I shall now take up proposals related to indirect taxes. My proposals now customs and central excise to indirect taxes to further simplify the customs and central excise support domestic to further simplify the promote tariff export competitiveness domestic manufacturing conversion promote duty export competitiveness and correct continue weeding out long continuing customs duty exemptions. To continue weeding out long continuing customs duty exemptions on items I propose which are being manufactured in India on items which are being manufactured in India, similarly to further simplify the process of ascertaining the rate of duty, to further simplify the process of ascertaining the rate to incorporate applicable on a particular item in various customs notifications certain effective schedule in various customs notifications to the sector-specific proposals. I shall now take up promotion of exports of marine, leather, and textile promotion of exports of marine to increase the limit for duty-free imports. I propose to increase the limit for duty-free for processing seafoods specified imports used for processing seafoods to 3% of FOB value current 1% to 3% of FOB value of the previous year's propose to allow duty-free imports of specified inputs to allow which is currently available for exports of leather inputs or synthetic which is currently available for exports of leather shoe or synthetic footwear to exports of shoe I propose to extend the time period for export of final I propose to extend from the existing 6 months to 1 year final product for exporters from the existing 6 months to 1 year garments for exporters of synthetic footwear or textile garments leather or synthetic energy transition and security leather products. I propose to extend the basic customs duty and security given to capital goods used for manufacturing duty exemption lithium-ion cells for capital goods used for manufacturing lithium-ion cells for battery energy storage systems lithium-ion cells for battery energy storage systems also on I propose to exempt sodium customs duty on for use in manufacture of solar sodium antimonate for use in manufacture of nuclear power glass. I propose to extend the existing basic customs duty. I propose to extend the existing basic customs duty for nuclear power projects till the year 2035 for nuclear power projects till the year 2035 irrespective of their capacity. All nuclear plants irrespective of their capacity. It is proposed to provide basic customs duty exemption. It is proposed to the import of to provide basic customs duty exemption of critical to the import of capital goods required for the processing of critical minerals in India. I propose to exclude the entire value of biogas. I propose to exclude the central excise duty payable on biogas blended the central excise duty payable on biogas blended CNG. Civil and defense aviation. I propose to exempt basic customs duty on components and parts. I propose to exempt for the manufacture of duty on components and parts other required for the manufacture of civilian training and other exempt basic customs duty on raw materials. Exempt basic for the basic customs duty on raw materials to be used in maintenance, parts, repair of aircraft, or to be used in maintenance by units in the defense sector or overall requirements. Electronic units in the defense to deepen value addition in the consumer electronics sector. To deepen value addition in the consumer electronics sector, on specified parts used in the manufacture of microwave on specified parts special used in the manufacture of microwave to address the concerns special economic zone. Utilization of capacity by manufacturing units in the special economic zones due to manufacturing disruptions in the special economic zones as a special one-time trade disruptions to facilitate sales as a special one-time manufacturing unit to facilitate sales by eligible to the manufacturing unit area in a concessional rate to the domestic tariff area at concessional rates. The quantity of such sales will be limited to a prescribed proportion. The quantity of such sales will be limited to a prescribed necessary regulatory changes will be undertaken. Necessary regulatory changes while ensuring level playing field for the units working in the DTA. Level playing field for the units working in the DTA. To rationalize the customs duty structure for goods imported for personal use. To rationalize the customs duty structure for goods imported for personal use. On all dutiable goods. To reduce the tariff rate for personal on all from 20% to 10% for personal use, from 20% to 10%. To provide relief to patients, particularly those to provide relief to patients, particularly I propose to exempt basic customs duty on 17 to exempt basic customs duty on 17 drugs or medicines. I propose also to add 7 more rare diseases. Also for the purposes of exempting rare diseases on personal purposes of exempting import duties and on food for special medical purposes used in their treatment and food for special medical purposes used in their treatment. India's role and share in the global trade is poised for a major leap and in line with our trade is poised for a major towards Viksit Bharat. In line with our ambition, I propose many measures for custom processes to have minimal intervention, for smoother and processes to have minimal intervention, for smoother and faster movement, trust-based system and greater certainty. I propose to enhance duty trust-based system for Tier 2 and Tier 3 to enhance duty economic operators. For Tier 2 and Tier 3 authorized economic operators to 30 days. Known as AEOs. I propose to provide 15 eligible manufacturer importers. I propose to provide duty eligible manufacturer importers. This should encourage the same duty deferral facility. This should encourage full-fledged them to get Tier 3 AEO accredited as a full-fledged Tier 3 AEO to provide greater certainty and for better business planning. To provide greater certainty and for better business planning, ruling. I propose to extend validity period from the present 3 years to 5 years. Binding on customs in the spirit from the present 3 years approach to 5 years. In the spirit of the whole of government approach, government agencies will be encouraged to leverage AU
Government
agencies will be
accreditation,
encouraged to leverage
for
preferential
preferential
treatment in
accreditation,
clearing their
accreditation,
cargo. Regular
for
importers
preferential
with
treatment in
trusted
clearing their
long-
cargo.
Long-standing
Regular
supply
importers
chains with trusted
will be recognized in the risk system,
long-standing
so
supply
that
chains
the need for
will be
verification of their
recognized in the
cargo
risk system
every time
so that
can be
the need
minimized.
for verification of their
Export
cargo
using
every time can be
electronic
minimized.
sealing. Export cargo using electronic sealing. Export cargo using electronic sealing will be provided
cargo
through clearance
using
from the factory
electronic
premises
sealing
will
to
be
the ship
provided through clearance from
for
the factory
import of
premises
goods
to the
not
ship.
needing any compliance.
For import of
filing
goods
of bill of entry
not
by a
needing any
trusted
compliance,
importer and
filing
arrival
of
of
goods
bill of
will
entry by a
automatically
trusted
notify
importer
customs
and arrival
for
of
completing
goods
their
will
clearance
automatically
formalities.
notify
This
customs
will enable goods
for
to be
completing
released
their
immediately
clearance
on
formalities.
arrival. This will
The
enable goods
customs
to be
warehouse
released
framework
immediately will
on
be
arrival.
transformed into
The
a
customs warehouse
operator-centric
framework
system
will be
with a
transformed into a
self-declarations,
warehouse operator-centric
electronic
system
tracking,
and
with the
risk-based
self-declarations. These
Electronic
reforms will
tracking
move away
and
from the
risk-based
current
audit
system. These
of
reforms will move away from the
officer-dependent
current
approvals
system
and reduce
of
transaction delays
officer-dependent
and compliance
approvals
costs.
and reduce transaction delays and compliance costs.
Ease of doing business.
Approvals required for
Ease of
cargo
doing business.
clearance from
Approvals
various government agencies
required for cargo
will be
clearance
seamlessly processed
from various
through a
government
single
agencies
and interconnected
will be
digital
seamlessly
window
processed
by the end
through
of
a
the
single
financial
and
year.
interconnected digital window by the
Processes
end of the
involved in
financial
clearance
year.
of food, drugs,
Processes
plant
involved in
and
clearance
animal
of
and
food,
wildlife products,
drugs,
accounting
plant
for about
and
70%
animal and
of
wildlife
integrated
products,
cargo,
accounting for about
will be
70% of
operationalized on this
integrated
system
cargo
by April
will be
2026
operationalized
itself.
on this system
For goods
by
not
April
having any
2026
compliance itself.
requirement
For
clearance
goods not
will be
having
done
any
by
compliance
customs
immediately
requirement
after
clearance will
online
be done
registration is
by
completed
customs
by the
immediately
importer
after
subject
online
to the
registration
registration
is completed by the importer subject to the
Customs
payment of
integrated
duty.
system will be rolled out in 2 years.
Customs
integrated
system will be rolled out in 2 years
as a
for
single
all customs
integrated and
processes.
scalable platform.
Utilization
Utilization
of
of
non-intrusive scanning with
utilization
advanced imaging
of non-intrusive
and AI
scanning
technology
with
for risk
advanced
assessment
imaging
will be
and
expanded
AI
in a phased
technology
manner
for risk
with the
assessment
objective
will be
to
expanded
scan
in a phased
every
manner
container
with the
across
objective
all
to
the
scan
major
every
ports.
container across all the major
New export
ports.
opportunities
To support Indian fishermen,
New
to
export
fully harness the
opportunities
economic
to support
value
Indian
of
fishermen,
marine
to
resources
fully
beyond
harness
our
the
territorial
economic value
waters.
of
The
marine
following
resources
measures
beyond
will be
our
taken.
territorial waters.
A. The following
Fish catch
measures
by an
will
Indian
be
fishing
taken.
vessel
A.
in exclusive
Fish catch
economic
by an
zone
Indian fishing
or
vessel
on the high
in
seas
exclusive
will be
economic
made
zone
free of duty.
or on the high seas will be made free of duty. Landing of such fish on foreign port
Landing
will
of
be treated
such
as
fish
export of goods.
on foreign port
Safeguards will be put in place to prevent misuse during fish catch.
Safeguards will be put in
transit,
place to
or
prevent
transshipment.
misuse during fish
To
catch,
support
transit,
aspirations
or
of India's
transshipment.
small businesses, artisans,
To support
and
aspirations
startups
of India's
to
small
access global
businesses,
markets
artisans,
through e-commerce
and startups
I am
to
pleased to
access
announce
global markets
complete
through
removal of the
e-commerce.
current value
I am
cap
pleased to
of
announce
10 lakh
complete
rupees per
removal of the
consignment
current
on
value cap
courier
of
exports.
10 lakh rupees per consignment
In addition,
on courier exports.
handling of rejected
In
and
addition,
returned consignments will be
handling
improved
of
with
rejected
effective use
and
of
returned
technology
consignments
for
will be
identifying
improved
such
with effective
consignments.
use of technology
I
for
propose to
identifying
revise provisions
such consignments.
governing baggage
I
clearance
propose to revise
during
provisions
international travel
governing
to
baggage
address genuine
clearance
concerns
during
of
international
passengers.
travel.
The
To
revised
address
rules will
genuine
enhance
concerns of
duty-free
passengers.
allowances
The revised rules
in line
will
with the
enhance
present-day travel
duty-free
realities
allowances
and provide
in
clarity
line with the present-day
in
travel
temporary carriage
realities
of goods
and provide
brought in
clarity
or taken out.
in temporary
There
carriage
are
of goods
honest
brought in
taxpayers
or
who are
taken out.
willing to settle disputes
There are
by
honest
paying all their
taxpayers
dues
who are willing
but
to
they
settle
get
disputes
deterred due to
by paying
negative
all their
connotations.
dues.
But they get
Associated
deterred
with
due to
penalty.
negative connotation.
They will now
Associated
be
with
able to
penalty.
close cases by paying
They
an
will now
additional
be able
amount
to close
in
cases
lieu of penalty.
by paying an
Honorable
additional
Speaker,
amount
sir,
in lieu of penalty.
With this, I
Honorable
commend the
Speaker,
budget
sir,
to this August House.
with this,
I commend the budget to this August House.
1.5 hours.
Item
One.
1.5
आइटम
hours.
नंबर 3 माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी। आइटम नंबर 3 माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी।
Item number 2, sir.
3
3. Item number 2, sir. Sir, with your permission, I rise to lay on the table of the table the
Sir,
following
with your
statements
permission,
under
I rise to
Section
lay on the
3.
table of the
One of the fiscal
table the following
responsibility and budget
statements under
management
Section
Act of
3.
2003. One of the
Medium
fiscal
term
responsibility
fiscal
and budget
policy
management Act
policy
of
strategy
2003.
statement,
And
medium term
macroeconomic
fiscal
framework
framework
fiscal
statement.
policy strategy
Item
statement
number 4,
and
माननीय
macroeconomic
वित्त
framework
मंत्री जी।
statement.
Sir, with your permission,
आइटम नंबर
I move
4
for
माननीय
leave
वित्त
to
मंत्री जी।
introduce the
Sir, with your
finance bill
permission,
2026.
I move for leave
प्रश्न
to
ये कि
introduce the
विधेयक
finance
को
bill
प्रस्तावित करने की
2026.
अनुमति प्रदान की जाए। प्रश्न ये कि विधेयक जो सदस्य प्रस्तावित करने की अनुमति प्रदान की जाए। जो सदस्य पक्ष में हाँ गए, मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हाँ वालों के पक्ष अनुमति प्रदान की जाए। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के प्रस्तावित वालों के पक्ष अनुमति
Sir, I
प्रदान की
introduce
जाती
the bill.
है। माननीय मंत्री जी, आप विधेयक प्रस्तावित करें।
Sir,
माननीय
I introduce
सदस्य,
the bill.
आपको सूचित किया जाता है कि माननीय सदस्य के बजट भाषण की किया जाता है। पब्लिकेशन काउंटर पर ली जाती है। बजट भाषण और बजट से संबंधित पब्लिकेशन काउंटर पर ली जाती है। बजट भाषण और बजट से संबंधित मेंबर पोर्टल पर उपलब्ध है। आपके मोबाइल सभा की कार्रवाई मेंबर पोर्टल पर सोमवार दिनांक 2 फरवरी 2026 को कल सोमवार 11 बजे तक के लिए 2 फरवरी 2026 को प्राप्त 11 बजे तक के लिए